Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will continue the 11th canto with Nimi Maharaj and the Navayogendra's discussion. So yesterday we covered a lot of the foundation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or this canto, and this canto, the 11th canto. And now we will just focus on Nimi Maharaj's discussions with the 9 Yogendras. Amagyana timirandhasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama om vishnu padaya krishna presthaya bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So, we discussed yesterday that there are 3 parts of the 11th canto, A, B, and C. And A part is mainly the storyline that is divided into 3 parts: the 1st chapter, the 6th chapter, and the 30th and the 31st chapter. And that describes how the Yadu dynasty was cursed, then how the Yadu dynasty was sent to Prabhas Kshetra, and then how the Yadu dynasty was suicidal, I would say. So killed each other, and then how Krishna disappeared from the material world. And then there are those 2 bigger areas of the 11th canto. The first is when Nimi Maharaj is speaking with the Navayogendras, and the other is the Uddhava Gita, when Krishna sent the Yadus to Prabhas Kshetra, and then he stayed with Uddhava. He stayed back in Dwaraka, and then they were discussing a lot of things. So that's the Uddhava Gita. So now we will be focusing mainly on Nimi Maharaj's discussions with the Nava Yogendras. So Vasudev was glorifying Narada Muni, and Vasudev was inquiring from Narada Muni about the Bhagavata Dharma. And we all know that Krishna hoite chaturmukha, hoy Krishna sevam mukha. And then Brahma hoite Naradera, Mate Narada Vyasa or something. So it's like that this describes the Guru Parampara. So it starts from Krishna and then goes to Lord Brahma. That's why we are in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And then from Brahma it went to his son Narada, and then from Narada it went to Vyasa. And we know from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Vyasadeva was lamenting. Vyasadeva was lamenting because he wrote down the Vedas, compiled everything, divided up into four parts, and then he wrote down everything. Still, he was not happy. And then, well, why? And then all of a sudden Narada Muni arrived. And then Narada Muni was speaking with Vyasadeva. And Narada Muni explained to Vyasadeva that the problem is that you did not speak about Bhagavad Dharma. You did not speak directly about Krishna. So you should do that. So then Srila Vyasadeva compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was there, and then and now here Vasudeva, important, not Vyasadeva, but Vasudeva is speaking here, and he glorifies Narada Muni and asks about Bhagavata Dharma. So we know that Narada Muni is one of the highest authorities on speaking on these topics, to the degree that he was even teaching Vyasadeva. And then Narada Muni glorifies Bhagavata Dharma, and he says that the devotional service can purify the whole universe, everything. And there is, in the 12th verse, it is said that bhakti purifies everyone, even the person who hates someone else. That's the expression. I mean, that's just really interesting. Let me just check the original verse of this. So we go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verse number 12. Pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and all other living beings can be immediately purified. So it's like, can we imagine how potent pure devotional service is? Of course, there is always a interesting thing, and that is when Krishna, or here Narada Muni, qualifies devotional service and says pure devotional service. So what do we mean by pure devotional service here? On what stage is it? Is it on the stage of Shraddha, or it's on the stage of Prema? So, or anything in between? So what's pure devotion? Or pure devotional service that purifies immediately even those who hate the demigods or all living beings. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So probably we will get back to that a bit later. And then Narada Muni speaks about the Yogendras. Wherever. You can also sit on the chair if you need. If not, then it's okay. And then there is a description about the Yogendra's family lineage, and then there is a list of the Nava Yogendras. That's let's see the Nava Yogendras. So okay, so King Bharat rejected this material world, considering all types of material pleasure temporary and useless. Leaving his beautiful young wife and family, he worshipped Lord Hari by severe austerities and attained the abode of the Lord after 3 lifetimes. So then there is, okay, so it was the previous verse. Of the 100 sons of Lord Rishabhadev, the eldest, Bharata, was completely devoted to the Lord Narayan. It is because of Bharat's fame that this planet is now celebrated as the great Bharata Varsha. And then King Bharata rejected this material world, and then 9 of the remaining sons of Rishabhadev became the rulers of the 9 islands of Bharata Varsha, and they exercised complete sovereignty over this planet. 81 sons became twice born Brahmanas and helped initiate the Vedic path of Karma Kanda, fruitive sacrifices. The 9 remaining sons of Rishabha were greatly fortunate sages who worked vigorously to spread knowledge of the absolute truth. They wandered about naked and were very well versed in spiritual science. Their names are, so it's Kavi, Havir, Antariksha, Prabudha, Pippalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa, and Karabhajana. Okay, how many do you remember? How? I was like, what? When I first heard these 9 names, I was, I remember Kavi. Or was Kavi Havi? Or what? So it's Kavi, Havir, Antariksha, Prabudha, Pippalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa, Karabhajana.
It's like you in Hindi doing some mantras. Like
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Hari Om. So these sages wandered the earth, seeing the entire universe with all its gross and subtle objects as a manifestation of the Supreme Lord and as non-different from the self. So it is interesting. So they were just going around and around, and they saw everything in relation to Krishna. They did not see anything separate from Krishna. And actually, just recently there was a roundtable discussion in between real leaders of religious organizations in Hungary, and I was also invited, so I was representing ISKCON, and there was a Franciscan monk, then there was a Jewish priest, or however they are called in English. yeah, something like that. And then there was a Protestant priest, and there was a Muslim imam, and yes, and there was a Buddhist, not monk.
Lama.
No, he wasn't a lama. He was a Buddhist. So 6 of us, we were there, and the topic was protection of the creation, so environmental protection and sustainability. That was the topic, and I'm speaking on that topic very frequently to many audiences. This is like really, really close to me, this topic, and why do we protect the environment? That was not a question that was raised, and I raised it. So why do we religious people should protect the environment? Why don't we just focus on God, worship God? We will not be here, 100 years from now. So it's like, and then, well, everyone had their ideas why we should protect it and this and that. But this whole thing, how the Nava Yogendras were wandering around and they saw everything in connection with Krishna. And if we think about the 3rd canto, where there's a detailed description of the creation, and later on in the 5th canto, and in many other places, and also in the Bhagavad Gita, we see that Krishna manifested his universal form. So there is that verse, Smartavya satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyo najatuchit. We always have to remember Krishna and never forget him. And at the same time, there's also that verse in the Gita that says that whatever you think at the time of death, that's what you will become in your next life. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam hyajanjante kalevaram. So the reason why we keep our environment clean and tidy and sustainable is because the environment is Krishna's creation, the natural environment. And if we keep the natural environment as close as it was created by Krishna himself, then it can remind us to him. So that's the main thing. And here, when the Nava Yogendras, they were wandering around, they were always reminded to Krishna because they were seeing everything in relation to Krishna. So if we look at our home or our environment, does that remind us to Krishna and his creation? If it does, then we did a really good job. If it doesn't, then we have a little job to do. So when people ask, why do we develop Krishna Valley such a way as we developed it? We planted 450,000 trees. Almost 500,000 trees we planted. We digged lakes. There are 2 big lakes and several small ponds that we created. And all the small ponds are rainwater harvesting lakes, so that the least amount of water leaves the area. And we have 20 hectares of botanical garden, with more than 1,000 different species of trees, not 1,000 pieces of trees, 1,000 different species of trees. So, and we have a garden, we have a flower garden, we have a Goshala, we have almost 100-hectare forest now. So we have a lot of, but why do we created it like that? We created it like that so that when we raise our children, then they can be raised in an environment that reminds them and reminds us to Krishna. This is how it looked like when it was created. At least that's what we try to do. We will get to the questions. So, because if we stop for the questions, then I will be diverted to so many. But please do not forget your question. Okay, good. So, there are 25,000 tourists every year who visits Krishna Valley and who pay an entrance fee, and they eat in the restaurant, and they buy books, and there's a Bhagavad Gita path where we explain the main topics of the Bhagavad Gita in what's that, like 20, maybe 30 boards on the Srila Prabhupada's avenue. Not avenue, but road or whatever. Yeah. So we created all of these things so that people would see Krishna consciousness from a different angle. That means that Krishna consciousness is not a religion. Krishna consciousness is everyone's life, no matter what you do. So we, the Jiva, we are there and we have a relationship with Krishna, or we want to re-establish that relationship with Krishna. And for us, it is really important that this is a lifestyle, this is a way of thinking, this is much more than just a mere religion. So here with the Navayogendras we see they just go everywhere, and eventually they meet Nimi Maharaj. And Nimi Maharaj starts asking questions, and there are 9 questions. Why 9? Because there are 9 Yogendras. So he asks the question from each and every one of them. And they cover all of the aspects of Bhakti Yoga. So the first question is, let me see, let's just go back here. The first question is, what's the greatest good and how can we execute devotional service? That's the first question. Second question, please explain the different categories of devotees and their nature. The third question is, I would like to hear about the illusory energy of the Lord. The fourth, how can a materialist cross through the Lord's illusory energy? The fifth question is, please explain the Supreme Lord's transcendental position. The sixth is, speak to me about Karma Yoga. The seventh is, speak about the different incarnations of the Lord. eighth is, where do they go who never worship Hari and who cannot nullify their material desires, and those who cannot control themselves? That's a complex question. And then the last question is, please explain the Yuga avatars, their color, their form, their name, and the mode of worship. And then the Navayogendras starts explaining all of these things, just in real brief, the answers. So they are answering in the order how Narada Muni said. So it starts with
what is the highest goal and how to
yes, and who will answer? Kavi. Yes, Kavi will be the first. And then the next one will be Havir. And then Antariksha, and then Prabuddha, and then Pippalayana, and then Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa, and Karabhajana. So the first answer is to the question of what's the greatest good and how should one perform devotional service, is that worshipping the Lord's lotus feet is the highest way of, that's the highest goal. And each and every dharma consists an element of fear, except for bhakti yoga, because bhakti gives you fearlessness. Then it goes through all the others. So the second is Havi answers, explains the Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama Adhikari. Do we know who is a Kanishta Adhikari? Who is a beginner? Yes.
Materialistic devotee.
Materialistic devotee. You said us. Yes. Okay.
He serves the Murti and he sees the Lord in the Murti, but he doesn't respect devotees, or he doesn't see the connection between the God and the devotees.
Very good. Very good. So one who worships the deity and sees the Lord in the deity, but nowhere else, and he does not know how to behave. That's an important thing. He does not know how to behave with devotees. What to speak of other human beings. He just does not know. So that's a Kanishta Adhikari. Then the Madhyam Adhikari, let's just get these verses. If you're interested, this is the family lineage of the Navayogendras. Okay, you will have a test at the end, so I hope you remember. Yeah. Good. So, okay, we will go back to that, and we will come here also. Whoa, okay. Okay, so that was Madhyam Adhikari. So Madhyam Adhikari, who offers love to the Lord, offers his love to the Lord, and he is friendly towards all devotees. He is merciful to the innocent, and he does not consider or does not take into consideration those who are envious of the Lord. So it's really important that a Madhyam Adhikari makes a distinction in between the devotees, those who are innocent and those who are envious. That's why they can preach. A Kanishta Adhikari cannot recognize or cannot make distinction in these things. Okay, but what about an Uttamadikari? That's an interesting thing. So yes?
He has full faith in the Lord.
Yes.
And he considers everyone as servant of Lord.
Yes, exactly. So because of that, he does not think that there is any use to preach. Everyone is. And everyone is a servant of the Lord. So they see everything from a perspective of prema. And they see the same prema even in demons, everywhere. And they cannot comprehend, they cannot see that someone is hateful towards Krishna. And he sees that everyone from Brahma to even to those who are the non-moving, like plants and trees, he sees everyone in connection with Krishna on the level of prema. So it's impossible for them to preach. And let's just go back to this. So there is this interesting thing that we spoke about in regards to fear, that each and every process has an element of fear in it, except for bhakti yoga. So fear comes, I will read this verse, it's the 37th verse. So, fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and as his very life and soul. So, there are these, Hungarian, sorry. It's Hungarian, so this is the 5 layers of ignorance. 5 layers of ignorance. There is tamas. Tamas is when someone forgets his real identity. Jiviras varupahoy Krishnera nitya das. And the quality of that tamas is avidya, or ignorance. And then from that ignorance or tamas comes moha. Moha is illusion. So there's tamas, there's moha. This is the illusory conception by which one identifies himself or herself with this body. Oh, you already translated it.
Yes, Klaus translated everything.
Fantastic. Perfect. To Russian or to English? To Russian. Amazing. The power of AI. So that's illusion, and the quality is asmita. Asmita is false identification. So we already have avidya or ignorance and false identification. This is what the verse was speaking about that I read in the beginning, but this is an analyzation of the verse. So then the third is andatamisra, and that is what's that? Struggling for existence, as Srila Prabhupada calls it. Struggling for existence. And abhinivesha, that's the quality that comes in, and that is fear of death. Like when we are traveling on the plane and we got in a turbulence, then we were coming this way and we got in a turbulence, and it was a heavy one for us. It was a heavy one, and it was just going up and down and everywhere, and it was like really, really crazy, and I just checked my heart rate. It's like, what's my heart rate? And it was like 149 or something. Like I was trying to chant more attentively and everything. And there was that gentleman I spoke about yesterday, the man, the Hungarian Ironman. The runner, scuba diver, industrial diver, whatever, firefighter, swimmer. So he was there and he was like, "Can you tell me what's this on your head?" And I was like, and then he was, don't worry about this. This is nothing. This is really nothing. Planes can hold for much worse, so just don't worry. But please tell me, what kind of rules and regulations do the monks in Krishna consciousness follow? And I was like, yeah. It was so. It's abhinivesha. It's fear of death. So it's there in someone who is in illusion and who's in tamas or in avidya, ignorance. And then from there is moha, and moha is the false. What was the translation? The false. How do you call that? No. That you possess something, that you own something. False ownership. The sense of false ownership. Is that how it? Yes. How did it translate into Russian?
Into Russian?
Or into English?
Развитие ложного чувства собственности по отношению к вещам, представленной материальной природой. Привязанность, attachment. Okay, attachment. And that's raga, attachment. And this is that you're attached to something that surrounds you. And then from there, it goes to tamisra, and tamisra is when there's a obstacle to enjoyment, and then the result of that is dvesha. We know raga and dvesha. Raga is attachment, dvesha is anger, that we are angry. So there's ignorance, there's false identification, there's fear of death, there's attachment, and there is anger. So all of these things are
different parts or different layers of ignorance. So this is something that bhakti helps us to eliminate sooner than anything else. And we know this verse. This is how ignorance is deepens. That's from the Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter, 62 and 63. Jyayato vishayam pumsa sangaste shopajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamad krotho bijayate krothat bhavati sammoha sammohat vibrama smriti brahmshad buddhinasha pranashyate. So this shows what's the 8 steps to really stuck ourselves in material world. Let's see what Claude will say. No, you can do it. It's okay. So the first step is Jyayato Vishayam Pum. Jayataha means meditation on the sense objects. And from there, was attachment will arise. And after attachment, there is a desire. I want to own that thing. So there is a desire. And when ownership does not happen, then comes krodha. I will become angry. And after that, sammoha. Moha from the previous one, everyone remembers, that's illusion. So sammoha, this is full illusion, complete illusion. So that comes. And then smriti vibrama, that's struggling of remembering. So confusion or things like that. And then buddhinasha, then that means that that we lose our intelligence, so we cannot remember. There is memory is affected, and then because memory is affected, then intelligence is affected, and when intelligence is affected, we are stuck in the mud of material world. That is pranashyati, when we fail. So this is how we get entrapped here. But then there is this verse, the 39th verse. So this was analyzing the previous verse, the 38th. So 39th says, an intelligent person who has controlled his mind and conquered fear should give up all attachment to material objects, such as wife or husband, family and nation, and should wander freely without embarrassment, hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, the bearer of the chariot wheel. The holy names of Krishna are all auspicious because they describe his transcendental birth and activities which he performs within this world for the salvation of the conditioned souls. Thus the holy names of the Lord are sung throughout the world. So when we read this verse, then we could immediately think, it's like, why is it that we always end up with this, giving up everything, wife, husband, family, nation. What's this thing always? Isn't it that Yudhishthir Maharaj was a grihastha, a householder, he was performing all his grihastha duties. He did not give up things, or he was just worshipping Krishna as much as he could. He even went to war. Or we can see so many others, like there is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He got married, and then he got married again. He had a lot of children, and he was in a high position in India under British rule. So he was in the highest possible position that an Indian person could acquire. So here it says that one should give up all attachment to material objects. So why didn't he? Or did he? So it is not the issue of getting married and having children and all of the, or having a house or an apartment or a car or anything. It's not about that. It's about being overly attached to these. Because if we are overly attached to these, then it will be really hard to advance in Krishna consciousness. So there's a time for everything. That's why there are 4 ashramas. So there's the brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyas ashram. So when we see a brahmachari life is there for studying, a grihastha life is, well, it's not there for studying. All the grihasthas can say how much time you have for studies every day. I mean, that's certainly less than when you were not married, or at least the opportunity is less. So grihastha life is to put everything in practice what you have learned before grihastha life, and then later on, then all your realizations through your grihastha life that you will be able to teach to others later on, and you will be a bona fide person to speak about these things because you went through all of those obstacles, problems, issues, everything you go through. And because of that, you will have realization. You will be able to help others who are just getting into that thing. And you will be able to show an easier way or easier path to go through all the obstacles, issues, and problems that could arise. Because as I was speaking about that yesterday, you know, it's when I was a brahmachari, I thought that, okay, life is easy, I'm patient, I'm humble, and all of these things. And then when I got married, I understood that my humility has nothing to do, my depth of humility has nothing to do with what it should be if I'm married. So all of the things that you do in life, no matter what you do, all of those things should be connected to Krishna. Somehow it should be connected to Krishna. And that connection should be obvious for you, and that connection should be obvious to Krishna. All the rest does not matter. So try to live in a way that that you do your grihastha duties, your family duties and obligations, and at the same time you try not to be attached too much, and that you engage everything that surrounds you in Krishna's service, and surround yourself with an environment and with people who will always help you remembering Krishna and never forgetting him. If you do that, your life is successful. Your life will be successful. It's not an easy thing to do, but it can be done. It can be done. So many individuals have done that before. So why not you? Why not you? Okay, we stop here, and if there are any questions or comments, disagreements, you had your first question, and then we will go like this, okay?
I have a question about Krishna value. Actually, this is
Okay.
true. This is true question, but they are together. Is it truth I have heard that you do not use laundry machine?
Okay, very good.
And why? Because I have been in for another eco villages in
Yes.
Ukraine, in Germany too, and Radha.
Okay.
And there, everywhere, they have laundry machines.
Yes.
They're also like devoted society who is living in the nature.
Yes.
I haven't been in
Yes.
but this is actually why I haven't been there, because I have 3 men in the family. I don't want to watch it every day.
I know.
And this is first thing. And another question connected with this: what is your attitude to gadgets, computer for the adults, for the kids? Because from one point of view, because of your job, you are attached to the laptop.
Yes.
You mean like you cannot live without it. But another thing, how do you regulate for the kids, for adults, for your society devoted community insights?
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Because I have already visited several places. And actually, last year I had interesting story in Radha. I was there with 2 kids. I was asking one lady, she lives in Brahmachari ashram, to be with my kids several hours on the playground, and I will pay as a nanny. But she answers me, she doesn't use telephone because like it's she told me some reasons because it like influence on the brain. She didn't chant all her 16 rounds yet today. She doesn't use telephone before she turns rounds. And I told you stay with 2 kids. You see season first time. I'm not here. If something happens, you must call me. I need your telephone. I will not leave the kids for several hours. Like, and she was upset about this.
Yeah.
She was from Germany. She agreed, but I felt like it's painful for her because of this.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's do the washing machine first. So there's no electricity.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So it's just that simple. And actually that's not true. So there is electricity, because otherwise we would not be able to run a restaurant, because for the governmental regulations you have to have a fridge, you have to have the cashier machine, and everything should be connected to the Hungarian tax agency immediately. So it's like, of course we have electricity, but we are off the grid. that means that we have solar panels only. And that's also not true, because solar panels, especially in the winter time, cannot provide enough electricity to run even these basic things that are needed because of governmental regulations. So we have a diesel generator. And the diesel generator provides enough electricity for the temple and for the guest house that's closest to the temple. But it does not provide any electricity to anywhere else. So it's limited. On most of the roofs of the houses, family houses, there are solar panels. But that is not enough to run a washing machine. So there is a laundry house. There is a laundry house where there are washing machines. With regular washing machines outside of the valley, and who would like to use that, they go and they use it. But once a friend of mine, Radha Prabhu, was asked, what do you do? You don't have washing machine. How do you wash your clothes? And he's also married. And he said, he answered to this same question. His answer was, my wife should never tell me that she loves me. I know that she loves me, because if she would not, I would not have clean clothes. She would not wash my clothes, because it's washing by hand. And when we were living there in Krishna Valley, then in our house, when we moved in, so we did not build that house, someone else built it, and then we moved in, and we reconstructed the bathroom in a way that there is a hand washing sink there, and it's a lot of work. So my mom is living in Krishna Valley, my mother, and every week on Monday I just take away all the clothes, take it home, wash it for her, and then I bring it back to her. And but there is a social department in Krishna Valley. So when someone is sick, or someone gave birth, or someone is old, then the social department goes and helps, cleaning the house, washing the clothes, cooking if there is a special diet, even massaging the individual. All of these things are included in the social department's activities. So that means that it's a community work to do these things, and it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I can tell you that I don't have the exact statistics, but it's something like in between 80 to 90% who were living in Krishna Valley and who couldn't continue, and they moved out, or they moved out to the village, or they moved somewhere else. They are still devotees, but the lifestyle, the way of living, the facilities, it was just too austere. So it's not for everyone, that's for sure. But it's a fantastic life. It's a fantastic life if someone can. It's like if someone yeah. But it gives you a completely different perspective of life, And that's a really good perspective of life. So my bigger daughter was the first in Krishna Valley's history who was born on the land of Krishna Valley. So it was a home delivery, and midwives were coming, and I remember that my wife was an administrator at that time for book distribution and for other things in tourism, and she was sitting in the office speaking to a brahmachari who is now a sannyasi, and they were discussing sending the books out. And this is June we are talking about, sending books out by post. And then my wife was there, and they were talking and everything, and then all of a sudden my wife said, "Excuse me, I think I need to go." And then the brahmachari was looking at her, "Really, what's happening?" And then she just looked at, and then the prabhu said, "I'm calling your husband." So, and that was something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I mean, that was a crazy long delivery. My daughter was born next morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, or something like that, 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that was just a fantastic thing. For me, it was a fantastic experience. For her also, it was after it was over, but there was no hospital, no rush, nothing at all. It was just it was a delivery, and then I could hold Nisha, 30 seconds after she was born, and then my wife was attended to, and then she had Nisha, and then the midwives went away. She took a shower, and life just went on. It was just, that was such an amazing experience. So, and we use mobile phones.
What you're telling me, we also have 2 kids, and they were also born at home.
Yes.
I didn't go to the hospital, and all this experience, I know many women
Yes.
who did this at home, but I have no laundry machine still.
No.
She's not connected for me. Like,
Sure.
I can just
Sure.
still, like,
Sure.
yeah.
It's just a natural way of living. In Hungary, very few individuals have home delivery. Very few. Actually, at the time, it was forbidden. So it's like that. And no electricity, no washing machine. Just live as close to nature as possible. But it also means that you have a different lifestyle. So, or it should be that you have a different lifestyle. But at the same time, it's not that easy to live a different lifestyle, because all of us were coming from cities or towns. And for a person who was raised in a city, to understand that, hey, no electricity, just from solar panels, there are some LEDs somewhere instead of light. It's not easy. It's not easy. But it's not for everyone.
And not dishwashers as well, right?
And no fridges.
Come on.
Well, there's,
Serious?
yeah. Yeah.
They are
Like Amish. But at the same time, as I see from time to time, there are more and more solar panels on the roofs. And the house where I was living, now there is a fridge that's run by solar panels. There is no washing machine that I know of because it needs a lot of power. Yeah. So there are wells everywhere, digged wells, and and there is tap water also, but almost every house has a well that's digged, and it's cool down there, so that's what they use for fridge. And because you put your stuff in the bucket and you just let it down, not in the water, but you let it down, and it keeps like 8-10 degrees, 10-12 degrees, and that's okay. That's okay.
So, but you're always busy. You don't have time for gadgets.
And kids also, and husbands also.
That's a good one.
To wash everything wash, that's all.
And husbands are cutting the wood and they pull the water if they want to use that water, and they do gardening and things like this. But it's not that everyone is living like that. So that you have to come to see. You have to come to see. It's a really beautiful life. It's a really beautiful life. It's simple. It's simple. And in regards to gadgets, it's like, You can charge a mobile phone or a tablet or even a computer with solar panels. And
There is no internet, no, just the charge. No Wi-Fi.
but there is 5G.
5G.
So mobile phones work like that. And I don't know anyone who does not have a mobile phone in Krishna Valley. Everyone has a mobile phone. And there is one Mataji, Vallabhikanta Mataji, who lives in Krishna Valley, who lives one of the most natural lifestyles of all of the devotees there in Krishna Valley. And she lives with her son, young son. How old is he? Like 9? Yeah, 7, 8 years old. And her husband just died last year before. 2 years ago, he had brain cancer. He was really young. And he had brain cancer and he died. And she is a real extrovert individual, and but she wants to live a really sattvic, natural lifestyle. So she leads like that. So it's, and then she made a TikTok video saying that, "Hello everyone, I live in Krishna Valley where there is no electricity, and I would like to show you the natural lifestyle that we are living here." More than 2.5 million views. I cannot tell you how many comments. I mean, extreme amount of comments, and most of the comments were, no. If you're living a natural lifestyle without electricity, how can you make a TikTok video?
Yes.
And just imagine that just because of that single video, the whole TikTok thing that she started, that just really grew like anything. And she's a singer. She has beautiful voice, a real singer. And wherever she goes, she's stopped by young people to sing on the street with them. I mean, there were full classes who stopped her, and they were singing Hare Krishna on the street with her just because of her TikTok. And she has, I don't know how many, hundreds of videos now, and she has a lot of followers, and she has something like 120 million views now, or in a country that has 9.5 million people. So and everything is in Hungarian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything, it's completely Hungarian.
So she must be really popular.
Oh, she became really popular. And because people are questioning, these things, and it's a really good way of preaching or telling people how natural lifestyle could be. But she also tells that only a very small percentage of Krishna devotees are living like that. And that she always says that I live like that. Most of the other devotees, they do not live like that. So they are living in Budapest, there's policeman, there's teacher, there's this, that, whatever. So it's like all kinds of individuals. So there are gadgets. Devotees use them. They try not to overuse them. And children, well, they know much more about the gadgets than their parents would ever know. I think that's just natural, except for when you're in IT and you know much more than your children now because of your work. So, but that's the thing. Does that give you an answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Please come to Krishna Valley. It's really good.
We will come.
It's really good.
We are afraid, but we will come. No.
Afraid? Well, you don't go there to live there, so there's nothing to afraid of. And there are a lot of festivals, and there are like 700-800 people, 1,000 people coming for festivals. So it's just really amazing. And you will see there is a lot of electricity during festival time. And there is internet everywhere. Especially during festival time around the temple, there is free Wi-Fi for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question about fear.
Question about fear.
So you told that now your Gendris basically told that other dharmas they contain some amount of fear, but bhakti is devoid of it. And I wanted to ask how it goes with. We know that there is an explanation of an episode from the life of Devaki and Vasudeva when they were in the prison of Kamsa, that the fear of material existence actually killed 6 enemies of Sadhaka, the same way as Kamsa killed
Yes.
the 6 childs
Yeah.
of Devaki. And also Srila Prabhupada, as there is his quote that my disciples are not fearful of anything, but they are fearful of Maya. So how it goes with that? To some extent, we should be fearful of material existence before. Maybe we come to the level of Rishi or something. And also, a passive bhakti is devoid of fear.
So when we speak about fear, then we remember when Srila Prabhupada was asked that when you pray, what do you pray for? And then Srila Prabhupada answered in the same line, so that I will not be under the influence of Maya. So it's not that Prabhupada was afraid of Maya, it's that better to be prepared. And it's the same thing for us. So we are not afraid. Well, we are, but we should be prepared so that we will not be under the influence of Maya Devi or Kali Yuga or Kali. And in each and every process, there is always a fear of losing. So with karma kanda, there is a fear of you will lose something with each and every process. But with Krishna consciousness or with Bhakti Yoga, there is no fear of losing something, because whatever you attained in this life, you will continue in the next. And the human life is guaranteed. Shrimatam Shuchinam Gehe Yogobra. So there is that verse that says that what was that? The unsuccessful yogi will take birth in a wealthy family or in a Brahmin's family. So probably we all have been fallen yogis, bhakti yogis, or not completely successful bhakti yogis in our previous lives. So either it was agyata sukriti, or it was something that we practiced and we did not finish. And now with all of these things that we are doing now, going out and harinam and speaking to individuals and giving prasadam, all of these things, can you imagine how many millions of people are doing agyata sukriti in this way? Maybe we had the same luck in our previous life, and that's why we got the chance now to be in Krishna. It's just like Indrajumna Swami. So he's just going and he's just preaching and preaching and singing and singing and preaching and singing and preaching and singing and feeding people and just giving bhakti lata to each and every individual who he meets. So can you imagine what happens, in like 50 years from now, or whenever, when all of those individuals will this life or next life, they will become practicing devotees. So it's a long-term thinking, and so we have nothing to fear of. There is nothing to lose for us. We can lose only what we should be afraid of is committing Vaishnava aparadas or Nama aparadas, because that can really hamper our spiritual progress. But otherwise, Krishna is giving so much. Krishna is giving so many things to us, so many opportunities, materially, spiritually, so many things. The question is, are we good tools in Krishna's hands? And when we are praying, then that's one of our prayers. Well, at least mine, that I would like to be a proper tool. Thank you.
I have
Yes.
a question. Also, I have an English teacher who is American, who lives in Italy right now, and he's Christian, and sometimes, of course, we talk about spiritual things. He likes to talk about that. And he's preaching. He's just walking alone, reading Bible to the people around, talking about it. He likes things like this. Very.
Inspired.
Inspired, yeah. So, last time he asked me the question about how Hare Krishna interprets this idea, which is common in Christianity and famous when someone
Yes.
punch your chin, so the other chin. I remember this core story of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna said to Arjuna, go and fight, and there is a good reasoning behind that, and Krishna supports him and so on. And it was hard for me to find the answer how it represents in Hare Krishna because that's a book in Shastra. Maybe you can answer this question.
Yeah.
Neville.
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing that since there's another chair if you would like to. You're okay. You're okay. Okay.
Change position in life.
Good. Okay. Okay. So this concept of black and white that became really strong after Luther. Not Martin, but Luther. So Protestantism. Because there was a need for that. There was a need for that because things were just too much gray. And this is so dominant now that everything should be black and white. That everyone who slept on this cheek should show the other to be slept on that. But is it really for everyone? Or is that for monks? Or is that for Brahmins, I would say? Who is it for? So let's say a Christian soldier who will be shot in this shoulder, then will go there, wait, my Bible says that you have to shoot here also. So is that a Christian soldier? Certainly not. That's a misrepresentation of the Bible. So it's not it's not that there's one size fits all kind of rules. And there are some overall concepts that should be there, like the concept of humility, because this is a concept of humility that should be there. But humility will be manifested in completely different ways for a businessman or for a monk. So, like for a businessman, if the businessman will always be humble and meek and will agree with everything the others want, then he will just lose the whole business. So what will be the businessman's humility? The businessman's humility will be seen how he deals with his wealth. And it's a really interesting thing. So it's like when we speak about leaders, there are 4 kinds of leaders. One who protects people. The other who protects one who protects knowledge. The other who protects people. The third who protects the environment. And the fourth who protects the knowledge of arts and crafts. So these are really important elements of society. And all of these will react to, should behave differently when they are humble, when they are devoid of pride, when they are accepting a spiritual master, when they are... So all of these things should be understood properly in context of their own nature. because that's how they will be able to advance in spiritual life using their own nature and their own skills. So this concept of cheeks for everyone, the idea behind it, yes, the execution, no. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's like if someone slaps his wife on the street, he will be the first person to just, I mean, he will just, like there was a case when there were homeless people who were harassing Sankirtan devotees in Budapest, and the Matajis went back to the temple, and they said that these are really harassing us, and it's like it's really crazy now. We just cannot bear that anymore. And then Namaruchi Prabhu was asked to deal with the situation. So next day the Matajis went out, and he told the Matajis, immediately call me when you see the slightest signs of any kind of aggression or anything like that. And then the Mataji went out, and then the Mataji called Namaruchi. Namaruchi went there. He told the man, if you do it again, I will be here and I will beat you up. And then the man just said, no problem, I will. And then Namaruchi stayed there from a distance to see what's happening, and the man did not know. And then he could see what's going on. And he immediately went there. He punched the man in the face. Sorry for that, on the video. And never again had any problem with that. Oh, really? Oh, they kicked the Matajis. So he, not good, for sure not good. So he went there, he arranged. He did not put another Mataji there. Oh, you kicked that one? Let's do with this one also. So it's or it's like in Krishna Valley. In the beginning, we were the naive city people who went there, who did not know anything about anything, not to speak about gardening or things. We did not know how to hold a shovel. So it's like we did not know anything. So everything was taught by the villagers. And at that time, we were taken advantage of. And sometimes there were stealings and other things. And then there was a good friend of mine who I spoke about, who had that soap factory later on, and he was strong. I mean, he became the world powerlifting champion. So that's strong. He was really strong, and he was in a house. You will see that house when you go there. That's the one of the guest houses now, called the Kamala Guest House, formerly known as the BBT House, because that's where we translated all the books and everything. So he was staying there, and some people wanted to come in and steal things, because all the computers and everything were there. And we are speaking about the 90s, end of 90s. So, I mean, he woke up and he just opened the door. And he saw what they were doing. They could not come in, so they started stealing the petrol from the cars that were out there, and they tried to steal things that were outside. He just went there. He dealt with them, let's say, like that, and then he called the police that there is a robbery going on, and then the police came, and then they dealt with the robbers. And then after that, we did not have so many problems. And then all of a sudden, a year later or something like that, there are 60 employees in Krishna Valley from the village. Over and beyond the 60, beyond the devotees who are serving there, and there are quite a lot of individuals who are they are non-devotees. They are from the village. They cut the grass, cut the wood, do the maintenance things, and all of these things with equipment. And then one morning they went to pick up their equipment, and there was no equipment. Someone stole the equipment during the night. And then we just told them, we are really sorry. You are all fired. There is no equipment that you can work with. We do not have money to buy new equipment, so we cannot employ you because you cannot work. So we are really sorry, you're fired. And by the evening, everything was back. Everything. Because they knew everyone in the village, and in the neighboring village, and in the neighboring village. They got in their cars, they went everywhere, and they said, the Hare Krishnas are employing me. They are paying me for years now. I'm employed, I get a proper salary, everything is paid, all the taxes and everything, and now they fire me because you stole the thing. Give it back. Never ever again. Never again. So that's humility in action, in proper action, and yeah, so that's my take on that. Yes. I'm okay, thank you. I'm really all right.
Do we have time?
I have time. I don't know. You're the boss.
I want to ask. We are trying to build society.
Mm.
We are trying to grow as Vaishnavas.
Yes.
Vaishnavas of ISKCON. But how can we stay, let's say, as broad-minded as you? I mean, tolerance to other, friendly, not to be arrogant against the other religion, people, and so on. To be like really a spiritual organization, not religious.
Mm. Mm.
Because we are trying to be strong in rules of ISKCON and sadhana and everything, but it might sometimes we forget and we can offend others by our actions,
Sure.
in our strict rules.
Sure. Well, one thing for me that's really important is that we have to overcome our urge or inspiration to be fanatical. And that's really hard. That's really hard because we think that we know better. We know better than anyone else. And how I do, everyone else should do. And this fanaticism that really kills the opportunities for bringing people close to spiritual life. So we have to be fanatic with ourselves, but we have to be really compassionate with everyone else, with devotees also. And when we see this fanatical approach, I just give you an example. So it happened, it's a real example. I do not allow my children, it wasn't me, I'm just saying what was the case. I do not allow my children to play with your children, because your children are playing with plastic toys, and mine are playing only with wooden. I mean, Maya has so fine techniques to separate devotees, and that's where individuals become sectarian. I belong to the sect of wooden toys. Wooden toys above all. So it's like, so the smaller fractions of a community will be the easier to dismantle the whole movement. The larger, it's much harder. It's as Srila Prabhupada was speaking about the bunch of sticks. So it's the same thing. If Maya can arrange that the huge amount of sticks that are there, those could be just separated, then it will be easily broken. So we should find the common things, and we should unite based on the common things, and not focus on the how do you say, the uncommon. What's that? So the differences. So I think that's crucial, and I really think that we should give way to different ideas under a common umbrella. So we should define the common, as it is said in math, the common denominator. That's the. So we have to find that thing, because that will build us together, and then the diversity that's there, that will give the opportunity for others to join, no matter where they are coming from. Does that make sense? So that's what we should find, and then grow based on that. And here in Cyprus, you have really great opportunities for that. I mean, you have devotees here who are so knowledgeable and have practiced Krishna consciousness for decades and have done so much. It's like, it's just crazy. You're sitting on a gold mine. It's like really, I can really say that. It's amazing. And then you will be able to gradually, if you will not become fanatics and start growing disagreements based on the differences, then you will be able to grow together, and you will have a amazing future here. Just don't be fanatical. Practically how? Well, it depends on what you're trying to be fanatical about. So it's like, don't force your children to chant 16 rounds before 4 o'clock in the morning.
And what I'm saying, mostly, let's say, we know each other very well.
Yes. Yes.
Very clear.
Yes.
And